Right. So guess every time though. So welcome to the next episode of Epilepsy and Me. Got Adam with us this time. Got Chloe co-hosting eventually. A few cancellations. So I'll start as I do with every other episode. Adam, tell us about yourself. Tell us about your epilepsy. Crack on with it.
Right. For me, briefly, I'm nearly 39 now. Living near Bradford, originally from Northumberland, and due to move back there very, very soon, all being well. And I'm a computer programmer, and I suppose that's probably most of the stuff about me. About my epilepsy, I was diagnosed, it'll be about 5.5 years ago. No, 6.5 years ago, I think it must be now. I had my first seizure. And I have, my seizures varied. They were nearly always tonic-clonic, idiopathic. So I think it's just a long word for saying we've got no idea what causes them. We don't know what's going on. That's kind of the headline of it. My first seizure happened very, very suddenly. I wouldn't have known about it actually, if it hadn't been for the fact my wife was there.
All right.
It's one of the, I do sometimes wonder just how long it would have taken me to realize something was wrong if there hadn't been someone else witnessing what's happening. Because I do hear stories where people say, well, I was, thinking something was wrong. I kept having dizzy spells, or I kept waking up where I didn't expect to, or things like that. And I know the first seizure I had was at home, and I woke up feeling groggy and not really certain what was going on, but I think I would have just gone to bed feeling ill.
Just thinking you had like a bad migraine or something like that.
I don't know. It was weird. I think I faded in and out of consciousness when I woke up from that. And I remember my first instinct when I first sort of came to was, I've had a few too many. I need to get to my bed.
Yeah.
Despite not having had a night out like that for a long time.
Yeah.
So I think I don't know, would have just sort of gone to bed, or I don't know what's happened, I feel ill. My second one happened in the shower at work, and I didn't know it had happened until months later. I was completely gone. And it was only a few months later when I started to piece together what having a seizure was like, because I'd had some more, that I realized I must have had a seizure back then. The one after that, again, that was overnight. And an awful lot had happened on that one, which I couldn't remember because of being post-ictal. I'd lost a big chunk of short-term memory, which became a feature of some of my seizures. My sort of after effects varied a little bit. So sometimes my long-term memory was gone and I didn't know who I was. Sometimes memory was gone and I had no idea what had happened. Sometimes I couldn't understand people. It was something to do with my language center of my brain. Apparently the area that my seizures originate is very, very close to my speech and language center of my brain. So sometimes I couldn't understand people.
How long was that normally for? Was it like?
It's difficult to say, because one common feature is usually after a seizure, my sense of time is really out. So I'm not sure, but I'd say not very long.
Yeah.
Maybe a few minutes, 5 or 10 minutes when I was having that kind of experience. Sometimes I know when I was having memory problems, it was an awful lot longer.
Yeah.
So sometimes there'd be that, or sometimes I could understand what people were saying, but I couldn't form words. I could attempt to, but I couldn't really manage to speak, and things like that. So it varied quite a bit, really.
Yeah. I think we've all had that bit of it where it's the after takes a while to come back around, kind of.
Yeah.
We
It takes me a
spoke
few
about
days to come around. I don't know how long it takes you, but for me, it's quite a few days.
Okay.
Yeah, I found that it's been years since I've had a seizure now. I'm extremely lucky like that. But I used to find that for a few days, I wasn't quite sharp.
Yeah.
You know, I was okay and I could do things. I could go to work, I could get on with things, but it was a little bit like thinking through a fog the whole time. I wasn't quite with it.
Yeah.
And through finding sort of forums and talking to people and things and reading about experiences and stuff like that. I found that's quite common. A lot of people seem to say, you know, maybe a couple of weeks or something, they're just not, you know, they're not quite there.
Yeah.
It's like the brain's on limp mode. Yeah,
agree with that. I think as well that you have like try to piece together what's happened in your head, even though you know you can't really, if you know what I mean, like trying to, oh, why's that happened again? What was the cause of this one? And then you've got that on the back of your mind whilst trying to just carry on, if you know what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's quite natural to want a reason for why something's happened, or it's like you want some kind of control. One thing that really frustrated me when I was diagnosed was no one could give me an answer to what had happened. You know, why. I always thought that, I don't know if everybody's as ignorant as I was, but I didn't know much about epilepsy at all. And I kind of thought it was one of those things that you're unlucky enough to be born with, or you're not.
Yeah.
And that's the end of it. So all of a sudden I had a seizure out of the blue, and then ironically on the same day as my second seizure that I didn't know had happened, I got a call from the hospital saying, we've got your test results, we need you to come in. So I knew they were bad.
Yeah.
You know, I knew that they were going to be positive, but because they had said, if it's a negative result and it's okay, then you'll get a letter from your GP. If it's a positive result and it's bad, then we'll ask you to come in and see us. So as soon as they phoned up and said, oh, we want to arrange an appointment, I knew that was what it was going to be.
Yeah.
Which is a bit unfortunate, really. So I wanted somebody to be able to say, okay, yeah, it's this is what could have caused it, or that's what could have caused it, or and I was convinced that it was we had a bucket list holiday about 3 months before, and we're gone to New Zealand.
Yeah.
And we wanted to maximize our time in New Zealand, so we flew pretty much straight there, and when we came back, straight back again. So it's a 24-hour flight, almost constant. You were changed almost immediately. So 24 hours going across the hemispheres and around the world, and then the same in reverse 3 weeks later. The return trip, I didn't sleep on it, and I must have been awake for about 80 hours solid, something like that. Yeah. You know, so I was absolutely convinced it must be something to do with that. This must be the thing. But you know, and I said, oh, is it that then? It probably that. You know, I was convinced it must be that. He said, I don't know, maybe. So that really frustrated me. And then, of course, when you start having seizures, you want people to say, okay, you know, the classic, oh, it's flashing lights, you know, or something like that.
Just some reason why it's triggered. Yeah, I get you.
Yeah, something I can avoid or something. And all they said was, when they put me on medication, was you can only have 1 drink a day. Otherwise you'll have seizures. I'm what?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, my heavy drinking days were years past by that point, but still.
Yeah, we're still northern.
Yeah, well, that's it. You know, I was like, well, what if I'm on holiday and I want, you know, I want a drink with lunch, and maybe I want a drink in the evening, or just something like that. You know, I can accept that. You know, I can't go out and have a few anymore, but things like that, and that was all they would say, and a bit more than that. And I got it through seeing an epilepsy nurse. That was one of the best things I ever did.
You mentioned that, didn't you, as well?
Yeah.
I think I saw yours, Chloe, your interview, because you've done one, haven't you?
Yeah.
I thought I recognised your face. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't want to say in case I got it wrong.
Nice and awkward.
definitely the epilepsy nurses, like, well, like, really like informed that stuff, especially like, because I don't know about you, but to get an appointment with a neurologist takes like ages. Like I think I was waiting like a year.
Wow. Yeah, mine wasn't quite as bad as that. But I remember reading all the guidelines, because I researched all over this once they said, you know, you've got epilepsy, and I read all of the guidelines and things. And there's a certain time within which you must have tests done, and a certain time within that you must see a neurologist and things like that. And it was nothing like your length of time, but it was way beyond those guidelines. I think I had my first seizure in April, and I've got a vague memory that it was around about July that I was having the tests. And I think I was diagnosed in the September, I think. And after that, we had regular checkups every few months, or if I had a seizure, I phoned up and let them know, but it was still every few months. And I actually, it sounds harsh in a way, but the purpose of the neurologist was really a drugs dispenser. You know, they weren't able to do anything else.
Yeah.
You know, it was the nurse that talked to me about, okay, this is what it means for you and your lifestyle. The whole 1 drink a day thing, she was the one that explained what the rationale was behind that, and what it actually meant, and what the risks were, and what you can do about that. And I can have a few drinks in a day. I've never risked more than 4 at any one go, and I space them out, and I drink my water and all that kind of thing. But through a day, it's no problem. It's just not going out and going mad or anything like that. And she talked to me about, I don't know if anyone ever talked to you guys about this sort of thing, but she talked to me about the seizure level, seizure threshold. She said, you've got like a seizure threshold. That's how she described it to me. And there are certain things that kind of bring you closer and closer to that threshold. So if you drink, or if you don't get sleep, or, you know, if you don't stay hydrated, and that kind of thing, which the neurologist never talked about. And I don't know if he even knew about it.
As I say, I think Joe mentioned something about, I don't know if you watched Joe's one, where she said, there's a few more to go yet as well, still to be put out. So she mentioned that like a doctor had said to her, and this back in the 70s as well, she said that a doctor mentioned that normal people's brain can go up to like here without that kicking out, whereas epileptic's brain goes to about here before it hits its level. So that was quite a good way to kind of word it, which seems quite...
That was actually quite similar to the wording, a different thing, but it's still connected to epilepsy. I started having side effects from the levetiracetam, Keppra. Nothing like what some people describe. And I mentioned it to my neurologist, and he kind of dismissed it. He said, it's not anything. He said, if you're on too much, you wouldn't be able to get out of bed. You know, that's the level of the side effect. It's either you're fine or you can't get out of bed. But I had noticed myself, I was a bit shorter, you know, a bit more irritable. And then my wife had noticed, and then 1 or 2 other people had noticed. And what finally sort of made me think I need to actually go to my nurse about this and kind of talk to her was I tried to chase a car down the road and have a fight with it, which is completely out of my character. But it was a nothing thing. They beat me when they shouldn't have beat me, and I just saw red. For about 20 seconds, they were driving up the hill, a big steep hill at 40 mile an hour. Why I thought chasing this car would do anything, I have no idea. But I wanted to have it out with them. I wanted to fight, and that was completely unlike me. And so I saw my nurse, and she said, you need to see a psychologist. And so they arranged a psychologist. And the way that she described it was, in the past, you used to have a level, you would have to get to sort of 8 or 9 out of 10 annoyed before, it really bothered you. But now your tolerance is way down at 10. So you've got to learn to recognize the signs of being irritated in a way that you didn't have to before, because you just didn't react. It just kind of slipped off you, really. And it what you said reminded me of that.
Yeah.
And that was sorry, go on.
No, go on. Sorry.
I was just going to say that was all through Epilepsy Action. That was my research. It was something I found out about them. So I went to my neurologist and I said, I want to be refer me to these people, sort this out. So they did, and actually speaking to them, they said they get a lot more referrals from some hospitals than others. And actually where we live is almost exactly between two large hospitals. And they said when I had the seizure, they asked my wife, well, which hospital do you want us to take you to? She said, well, I don't mind.
Yeah.
I'm not bothered. They said, well, we'd rather drive to this one. She said, great, go there, that's fine. But if I'd gone to the other one, I probably would have been referred straight away. Right. But because I went to the one that we went to, they just react differently. They have slightly different.
Yeah, I was going to, well, when I got epilepsy, I lived in Bradford, so not Leeds. So so I know what you mean with that, because I got the same options. Yeah.
Right, yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah. I can't remember which one they took me to, but they referred me straight away to back home, like back up here. They were really, so I must have took me to the good one.
It sounds like it. Yeah, that's what they do. They just refer you straight away. They get you sorted that one.
Yeah. So how are you kind of coping now? Obviously, you're saying a few years since seizures. You're still on medication, I'm assuming, for it, and
I can't see that changing anytime soon. But it's all right now. It's pretty much, things are pretty much normal. I just have to watch what I drink.
Yeah.
Stay hydrated. I'm really careful about that, and keep taking your meds. Yeah. And it's a slight niggle that I've got to go and sort my Dorset box out on a Sunday night, and I've got to make sure I take meds with us if I'm going out and about, or constant, every couple of weeks I'm having to ring up and get more repeats because they put me on because I was struggling with my Keppra dosage, and it wasn't sorting my seizures out at all.
Right.
Which the neurologist originally said, this will sort your seizures out. Just take this, job done. And obviously it didn't. And so they put me on Vimpat alongside it. And that was the thing that knocked it on the head. The two with it. So they put me on a vitamin D and calcium supplement as well to combat some of them side effects. Which interested me. It's another thing. But and I just buy my own because it's cheaper for me to do it than the NHS.
Yeah, of course.
But you'd think that you needed a powerful drug to combat a powerful drug, and actually you don't. It's just a vitamin supplement. And there's the reason they explained to me, and I've forgotten it now, but it's to do with the way that levetiracetam prevents your body processing calcium. It affects your liver function in some way.
Yeah, I've had big issues from my kidneys quite badly from Keppra. But
But your knees, did you say?
Sorry, my kidneys.
Oh, your kidney. Yeah, right. Yeah, I've been pretty lucky, really. I've not had much in the way of side effects at all. But it's things like that I suppose you don't really expect.
No, it's one of those things where it's kind of weighing up is it worth to have this issue to deal with this issue? And for some people it's not, some people it is. Live scripture.
I'm messing up your continuity now.
I know.
Can't edit all around.
It's all right, I don't edit any of it, it's crap. It's fine.
Oh, I've got to be careful.
Let it all go. Yeah.
But it's all right, really. The big thing for me was my driving license. That was the only thing that really bothered us. Other people were worried about, but you could have epilepsy in the middle of nowhere, you could fall and hurt yourself, there's SUDET, and all of these kinds of things. And I was just like, I'm not bothered. I genuinely just wasn't bothered. I just wanted my driving license back. I had to stop doing so many things. There were people I just didn't see anymore. There were places I couldn't get to anymore, or I had to leave places early and all this kind of thing. And there were things that I stopped going to. If you had a big party somewhere, like a corporate party or something, there was no point in going because the usual thing was you can either drink or you can drive. And I was like, well, I can't do
either. Yeah.
So it's going to be a bitch to get there, and then everyone's going to be hammered within 2 hours, and it's going to be a bitch to get back.
Yeah.
So that kind of thing. So it impacted my social life, and it impacted. I used to be into so many things.
Yeah.
And I got back into them.
Yeah.
But yeah,
it's like rebuilding your confidence, isn't it? As well, that's the thing of it.
Yeah, and just getting back to stuff. The biggest thing actually that it did for me was it got me into running.
I've seen you running, yeah.
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah, I've got you on Facebook, Anna. So yeah, seen.
Yeah, of course, yeah. Oh, well, I'm plugging away for the Great North Run at the moment because that's in a couple of weeks.
Couple of weeks, isn't it? Yeah.
I know. I'm just gonna try and crawl through it, I think.
Don't say I've seen your times. You're doing well, man.
Yeah. We're getting there. Yeah. I've not had long to warm up for this one because, well, we're getting ready to move house, and we've got a little boy. He's 14 months, right in the middle of
COVID
pandemic.
baby. Yeah,
COVID baby. Yeah, that's right. So it's a case of just trying to get out and train as much as I can, but I didn't really start till quite late on. But I wanted to do it because Epilepsy Action obviously got hit by the pandemic, and it's really important to me, and they've done an awful lot for me. So I wanted to try and at least get out there. I might be a local by that point.
No, you're still well up from me. You're going past me.
I did wonder.
Yeah.
Teesside,
so yeah.
Right. I thought it was northeast, but not quite northeast.
Yeah, that's right.
So I've been trying to figure it out from the accent on the video.
goes a bit
down south.
Yeah, goes a bit Yorkshire from my time in there, and then it goes back to normal. And yeah.
Yeah, that's right. I'm from all over the place. I'm a bit of a mongrel. So. But yeah, it got me into running because I'd been overweight for years and years and years, and lost any fitness I ever had and that kind of thing. But I had to walk into work, and I was like, well, because I thought it'd be 6 months. When I had my seizure, they told me in A&E, you can't drive anymore. It'll be 6 months unless you're diagnosed, in which case it'll be 12 months after your last seizure. And so I thought, it'll be fine. It's just weird. I don't have epilepsy. Nothing happened. It's just a weird one-off. They do happen. So I was convinced, but I thought I'd be really, really annoyed with myself if in 6 months' time I get back behind the wheel and my stomach's protruding out to the wheel as it does, as you sit down, trying to hold it back. You're adjusting the steering wheel up. Like, no, I haven't put on another stone. It's fine.
Just undo that belt whilst I'm sitting down.
Yeah, that's right. As you sit down, it's like, need another notch on the belt. So I thought I'd be really annoyed with myself if that happens. So I'll just do what I can in 6 months, and I'll walk into work and I'll eat dead healthily, and I'm not allowed to drink anyway. So we'll see what happens with that. And then I was walking so fast that I was sweating like a pig in a bacon factory, and getting to work and having to have like a man shower with some links when I got there, and in the end having to have a change when I got there anyway, and all that kind of thing. Something like that. And I might as well try out jogging. So I tried that out. And anyway, I got into running. And then obviously I started having more seizures. So I was going to have to run for longer, and was going to have to run for longer. And it was a big way of fighting back, actually. It upset me so much I couldn't run, because it was like, this is the one good thing that I'm getting out of this. And then after 18 months, I got down to the kind of weight that I wanted to be at. I got to a healthy weight and stuff. And then I found out about the Bradford 10K, which is run by Epilepsy Action. And I'm like, I'm terrified of doing it, but I've just got into running. It's for Epilepsy Action. I kind of feel like it's a big deal to do it. And it was on exactly the same day I was going to be a year seizure free.
Oh, sounds
So it's like, I can go down there, I can drive to the race, this is going to be brilliant. So I've kind of just carried on, really. I didn't mean to, but I finished it in 50 minutes, 3 seconds, and the 3 seconds really pissed us off.
Oh, that's pretty good.
I've got to give it another go next time. And then after the next one, I was like, the Great North Run, that'd be amazing. I'll do that. And then destroyed us. I thought, it's beaten me. I've got to do it again and try again. But then I didn't know.
Giving you that drive now of wanting to.
Yeah, you're constantly battling against yourself, aren't you, and chasing the next thing.
Yeah, that's good though.
And then, yeah, it's getting the positives out of it. And doing what you can with it.
I was going to say, I mean, I remember when I first got diagnosed and stuff like that, and I remember doing exercise and then having seizures after exercising, and it just pissed me off like beyond belief. So I was just like, I'm trying to get my body back normal, and I'm having seizures. So now I'm seizure free and stuff like that. Exercising and stuff feels normal again, and I'm lost a lot of weight over the last 18 months myself. So yeah, I'm know what it's like to have that little bit of drive to kind of be able to do that stuff again.
Yeah, you just want to use it for something, don't you, really?
Yeah, 100% that.
I think most of my seizures seem to happen in the evening for some reason. No idea why.
Yeah.
No idea why, but I had that first one when I didn't know anything. That was weird.
Yeah.
I wasn't worried about it. I was quite chilled out. I'm quite optimistic by nature, which means that sometimes I don't spot problems. It's not always a good thing, but I just assume it'll be okay. Yeah. So I was there not knowing anything. They're asking me memory questions like, I can't remember them now, ironically. But afterwards, I could remember them crystal clear. I could remember everything that happened. I could remember not knowing stuff, which is really strange.
I know what you mean.
Because it was my long-term memory that went, not my short-term memory.
Right.
And they're asking me questions like, I think, who's the prime minister, or what year is it, or, who's this, pointing at my wife, or all these kinds of things. What's your job? That kind of thing. And I just remember sitting there going, don't know.
Yeah.
Don't know. Not a clue. And I remember vividly, and I don't really know how I know this, but I vividly remember not having a concept of the fact that it was dark outside, meaning that it was nighttime and it was late. I mean, it was April, so we're into summertime and stuff.
Yeah.
And I just didn't have this concept. If they told me, if someone had come in and said, you're late for work, get out there, get into the shop, you should be packing up by now, which has got nothing to do with my work whatsoever, and told me it was like 8 o'clock in the morning and 30 degrees outside, I would have believed them.
Yeah. Great.
It was really strange. And it was a tiny kind of echo of what you see with people who are struggling with Alzheimer's and dementia, when they'll turn up at a building at 4 a.m. expecting it to be open, and they can't understand why the doctor's surgery is not open at 4 a.m. or why they've got you out of bed at 4 a.m. They don't get it.
Yeah.
And actually, all of a sudden, that kind of makes sense to me now.
Because your brain's switching off, isn't it? Basically.
Yeah, that bit of your brain has just gone.
Yeah.
And we'd done all of this kind of. They'd ask me questions, and they were going to take me in, and there was a hospital outside, an ambulance outside the front door, and they were going to take me to A&E, and I couldn't think clearly at all. All that was going round and around my head. We've been watching Ghost, and there's that scene, you've seen it, where Whoopi Goldberg's character is singing, I'm Henry VIII, I'm Henry VIII, I am, because it's the dead guy's song. He's trying to prove to his wife that he's talking to Whoopi Goldberg. And that was the last memory I had, was that. And it's really catchy. It's a really catchy song.
Just taking around in your head.
Yeah, all this time when I'm like, I don't know who I am. I don't know who the Prime Minister is. I have no idea what's going on with the world. It was going round and round in my head. And in the end, I managed to stagger out to this ambulance and lay down, and they'll take me off to hospital. Yeah. And in the end, I just had to say it out loud. And I just went, I'm Henry VIII. I am Henry VIII. I am. At which point, Jo, my wife, is just looking at me saying, I think this is worse than I thought.
We're taking to the other hospital.
He's Henry VIII. This has gone. Yeah, the other hospital was closer. They probably should have done. But it was weird. It was like a cork out of a bottle. After that, everything started making sense. I'm like, I think you better text my boss. I'll not manage to get into work tomorrow. And that kind of thing.
Yeah, just kind of released everything for you. Like,
it had some kind of strange effect. And then my next one was the one I had in the shower at work.
Yeah.
And that one, I remember I went into the shower and got out of the shower and I was drying myself. And I suddenly started feeling really dizzy and nauseous, which I found out later on through later seizures was a little bit of an aura. I'd have a few seconds at that point before I actually went. But at that point, I didn't know. That's one of the reasons why later on I figured out that was probably what had happened.
Yeah.
And I was there, and the shower cubicles little shower rooms were closed off. But outside them, there's like a unisex changing room. And I'm there thinking, I'm going to collapse. And I thought it was just, steamy and everything.
Yeah.
I need to get out, but I'm not dressed, but I'm just going to have to hope there's no one out there, Yeah. And then my next memory, so I reached for the door, and my next memory is standing out there and looking around and thinking, there's no lasses in here. There's no one in here. I'm most half dressed anyway. Thank goodness for that. Yeah. And so I just stitched the memories together and thought, I just managed to get out. Yeah. And then I went back to my desk and my team wasn't there. And I'm like, where are they? And then I spotted them in this glass meeting room at the bottom of the office. And I'm like, I must have been in there longer than I thought. I'm late. So I went in. I was feeling a bit crap, as you do after a seizure.
Yeah.
Right? So I went in and I'm really sorry, guys. I must have been in the shower longer than I thought. I'm sorry. And just got on. And in the end, went home sick later that morning because I just felt rubbish. Yeah. And now I know that what had actually happened was I had a seizure in there. Yeah. Somehow managed to get myself up, get myself half dressed and then stagger out. And that was when my memory came back. A bit of time missing. Yeah. And the next one was the one that I actually knew that I had memory loss, because apparently what happened, I'd been in bed and I got up and there was something odd about the way that I got up. I don't know what it was. But my wife said there was something odd and she said, Ad, you okay? And I didn't answer. She's like, you all right? And then I had a seizure and I fell against the door and then she couldn't move me and she couldn't get the door open and she was calling the ambulance and they were like, well, if you can't let us in, there's a limit to what we can do. So she was going to have to move me. I stood up. And she was trying to get me not to stand up, but to somehow move me. And I stood up and staggered around and then threw up all over the place and then collapsed and whacked my head off the bedside table and collapsed right against the door. So now I was completely blocking the door and couldn't breathe properly. So I was starting to turn blue and she still couldn't get us. And in the end, she managed to get us out the way enough to let the ambulance crew. Yeah. They came up. And then I was still trying to stagger around and they were trying to stop me staggering around too much. My oxygen levels were dangerously low. They were really worried about this. There was three of them that had a technician with them. So they managed to get us up, lie us on the bed, put pads on us in case they had to do anything drastic. Yeah. And the colour came back into my face. And all the time I'm there going like, what's going on? You've had a seizure. Yeah. What's going on? Oh, you've had a seizure. Trying to sit up. No, just stay there. You've had a seizure. What's going on? You've had a seizure. This went on for ages. Yeah. And then eventually I went, have I had a seizure? He said, yeah. And that was a moment Joe knew I was back. Yeah. But for me, I opened my eyes, thought, it must be the morning. Then realized all I had on was boxers. I was lying on top of the bed and there were 3 paramedics all looking down at me. I'm like, have I had a seizure?
Yeah. It's the scariest feeling in the world, isn't it, when you come around and they're just like, it's paramedics there and stuff, because you know at that point, yeah.
It was there was something in me that thought there's something wrong here, that I've woken up almost completely stark bollock naked, and there's 3 people just stood staring at us. I'm like, this is weird.
This dream's gone wrong.
yeah, this isn't how I imagined it. This isn't how first fantasy dreams are supposed to work. No. Not right. Yeah. So yeah, I had a few strange ones, and after that, it became. I think the after effects changed a bit as the drugs took more effect, I think. Yeah. So later on, it became more of the not being able to speak English. I had one later on, and I sat on the sofa again with Joe watching the telly, and I suddenly got that aura again, which I'd now started to recognise. Yeah. And our living room door opened straight outside, and so in my head I thought, last time you threw up everywhere, get outside. So I made a break for the living room door. Obviously didn't quite get there because I woke up a little while later with my neighbours there from right next door.
Yeah.
And I got I got outside just and then collapsed backwards and then had my seizure, tonic-clonic.
Yeah.
And I'd shredded my shins by smashing into the door frame of the door, smashing into it so loud that they could hear. So they'd come out of the house to see what was going on and see my legs doing river dance outside the front door, and come round to help us out. I was there, and for some reason, every time I had a seizure, it absolutely wrecked my left shoulder. I've no idea why, it just did.
Just the way you kind of tightened up or something.
Something like that. Yeah. And I can remember they were stood there and they were like, right, should we get into the recovery position? Yeah, we're better. And all I could do, I couldn't speak or anything, but I could understand them. And they would roll me on, and I'm sat there thinking, my shoulder, and the rollers on, and I had just enough energy to roll back. Yeah. So, all right, okay, I've got them. And then I could just about manage to roll myself back. Yeah. Oh, no, I better try him again. I haven't done it right. I better do it again. I'm like that. Yeah. For Pete's sakes. Ouch. You know, in my head thinking this, I couldn't speak. And then I'm there thinking, right, I'll roll myself back. And after 3 attempts, she said, I'll try him on the other side. I'll see if that works. I think you might find it does. Left me alone. So I'm just lying there. I'm like, okay, I'll stay on this side. And they was talking about, should we call him an ambulance then? Should we get him an ambulance? And I wanted to say, I don't need an ambulance. I'll be all right. I don't need an ambulance. And I'm desperately trying with all my might and energy and everything I've got to say, I'll be fine. And eventually, after what felt like 10 minutes and probably wasn't, I managed to go, ambulance, a bit like that. Yeah. And they're like, what did he say? He's asking for an ambulance. We're getting an ambulance. And I'm like, oh, no. Okay, try again. Come on, you can do it. And I managed to go, no, ambulance. Yeah. And they managed to figure out, oh, no, he's not. He doesn't need an ambulance. All right. I thought, I'm going to give up for a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fine. I'm on the side, my shoulder doesn't hurt. I'm just going to shut up.
God. Right, okay, so we'll part 2 of this. So so where were we at? Was it feels like it's a while ago now?
I've just been talking about some of my seizures and how I found them.
Yeah, you shouldn't.
Yeah, to be honest, I find them quite funny looking back at them. A lot of them have got a funny story attached, so I find them quite funny. I think I tend to laugh at most things.
Yeah, I agree a bit on that. I've had like a few interesting ones where I woke up with a paramedic whilst I'm just not with it, and it's been quite funny when I hear it back. And I've got a story about something like that, but it's certainly not suitable for this, so I'm not gonna.
Not for public consumption.
No.
Tell us after you hit record,
Yeah, I'll wait till that's gone off. Yeah, but yeah, my parents watch this, so no. So obviously, one of the things you mentioned obviously was work as well. How did they deal with it? Because obviously they didn't know you had that seizure on that second one. Once you obviously figured out you had epilepsy and you kind of told that story to them, I imagine. How was that?
They were really good about it. I think it helped for a few reasons, really. I've been working there for a long time. I think it could be potentially more awkward if you're very new in a place and you're still trying to establish a reputation or something. Or in certain kinds of jobs where you need to be on your feet and moving around a lot, and something like that happens. There's a health and safety aspect that concerns people. They're a clinical software company as well, so they've got clinicians working there, and they've got a little bit of background in. Obviously, I'm a techie, and the people I worked with immediately were techies, but still, there's a slightly different culture of understanding, you'd hope, with something like that. They were quite chilled out about it. Nothing was ever really mentioned formally. People asked me how it was and took an interest and took a concern about it. And of course, at first, no one knew what had happened. My boss went round for a card and got me a card sorted because they knew I'd been taken to hospital after some kind of seizure or something. But at that time, that was all anyone knew. That was all we knew. We hadn't a clue what was going on. I actually wanted to go back in. It was a Wednesday night that it happened, a Tuesday night, I think. And there was a guy leaving on the Friday from my team, and I really wanted to be there for his leaving meal and stuff. And I needed the next day off because I'd not got home from A&E till 5 a.m. or something.
Yeah.
So I needed the next day off. But after that, I was ready to go back in. But Joe wouldn't let me. I think it took me a long time to appreciate just how traumatic it had been for her. In that moment, there was a meme that someone shared not long ago that said it might only take 30 seconds for a seizure, but for the person witnessing it, it can be the longest 30 seconds of your life.
I shared that one as well. I think it was from Voice of Epilepsy, wasn't it?
Right, it might have been you that I shared it from. And so she wouldn't let me go back to work for the rest of the week. She was like, no, you need to stay here and you need to rest. And could you find a way of getting to work that means that you're around people? And she took me to work for about a week and didn't, I was going to try and set up a tracking thing on my phone just to put her mind at rest. But I did do it fairly spectacularly, that first one. I did the full-on tonic-clonic and eyes rolled into the back of the head and spitting blood and going blue. And, I did the 5-star. I don't know if I ever reached those heights after that.
never got the Oscar afterwards, no.
Gold-plated 5-star version. From a work point of view, I was almost ready to go back straight away and just crack on. And I have heard I think I've been very lucky in a few ways. The fact that after a year, my seizures stopped. And so I got my license back after 2 years and I haven't had problems for a few years. And my work were just got on with it. They weren't bothered about it. People were wary occasionally when they were organising a night out and thinking, but you can't come to this club because you'll have a seizure. There'll be strobe lighting and things. And it's that kind of thing. And I remember some conversation with someone in my team. She was organising a night out and she was saying this. I'll be fine. Are you sure though? I'll be fine. I said, look, if I was going to have a seizure from lighting, I'd have had one years ago because it's on all the time at the church that we go to. It's quite an active, charismatic church. And we've got strobe lighting, really professional, really good lighting, and sound and production. And she didn't believe me. She didn't understand it. So I showed her a video of my church and some pictures and things. And I think she thought all churches were like Thora Heard in Songs of Praise. And put her mind at rest anyway. The fact I was going there every week and was somehow still standing. But they were all quite relaxed. I took more care over, especially after I had that one in the shower and realised what it was. I took more care about staying hydrated and trying to keep active and stuff. And then when you're drinking a pint of water every hour, you're going for a pee every hour anyway. So I still do that now. But other than that, it didn't really change very much. I just kind of crack on. I'm quite lucky.
That is quite lucky. I was going to say, I mean, when I had my first one, obviously we've spoke about me. I lived in Bradford for a little bit. I'd lived there for like 6 months at that time when I had my first seizure. So I've had the other side of not knowing what's going on, living away from home and stuff. So I appreciate your story a lot better, to be honest. So
I'm certainly quite lucky like that. I think having so much around me that was quite secure and in place and things like that, I think that really, really made a difference. I spoke at some point with my epilepsy nurse. I was talking about, how long will this, I was a little bit down. I had thing. She said it will, it'll pass. We'll get it sorted. And she said she'd just sort out a job for someone who he had become seizure free after a couple of years or something. He just got his first job back driving a van for the postal service. And his job had been an HGV driver. Can you imagine that?
Yeah.
Much like me, seizure out of the blue, But for me, I could go back to work 2 days later and get the train.
Yeah.
For him, that's your livelihood.
Yeah.
Just gone. You know, so you hear stories like that, or people that struggle with it for years, or they don't know what's happening, or that kind of thing. Some of the stories that we've had in this series, and you know, I've got a lot to be extremely grateful about, really.
Isn't it 10 years that you've got to wait till you get your HGV license back? I think it's about 10 years.
I used to know when I researched everything out, you know, about this, and I would have been able to say a few years ago, but it wouldn't surprise me. I remember it being 5 years was significant, but it might not have been for that reason.
Yeah, I might have got it totally wrong, but for some reason 10 years is stuck in my head. I don't know why.
I can remember thinking, I would never have tried getting behind the wheel anyway after something like that. Or you can tell completely why you can't drive, and I would never have done it. But I remember thinking that if I needed any convincing at all, this was just a few months after that Christmas when there was a bin driver with
he killed someone, didn't he?
Yeah, in Glasgow. They were doing the Christmas shopping, and he killed a few pedestrians because he had some sort of cardiac seizure and been told not to drive, and he carried on. And you thought, I would not want to be that guy.
No. I remember that exact same thinking at that time. I was still having seizures at that time as well. I remember quite vividly on that.
Yeah, I seem to remember you had a similar kind of thing where it just struck in your 30s or something for no reason. And
well, you just turned 30.
Oh, yeah.
My 20s.
I knew that, really.
I was 23, just randomly.
Later in life than I would have ever expected.
Yeah, I was exactly the same as you, and I think quite a few other people had the exact same ignorances on epilepsy, entirely the same. Yeah.
And it's funny that when it's been quite a few people, and there's so many people just think it doesn't, you know, if you're not unlucky enough to be born with it, you just don't have it. It's something you either have or you don't, and you're either unlucky or you're not.
Yeah. And you can even go spread that out as well. You ask your friendship circle, you ask your family circle, all of them say the same.
Yeah. And they're also worried for you and the things that can happen. And for me anyway, I was there thinking, hang on, this is my deal first.
Yeah. You know? I've just realized for continuity, you've ruined it totally by the name.
You know what? I thought I changed it. You can tell, you see, you were saying you have problems with your laptop. Well, Joanna has exactly the same problems with hers, hence why she constantly nicks mine.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
I'll go by Joanna on a weekend anyway. So.
Cool. I'll put it out I'll put the second part out on a Saturday. All right.
Yeah, that's right. A Saturday night.
Yeah.
Superimpose the dress onto me. It'll be fine.
Cool. I'll just impose Chloe onto you, and then we'll go.
That's right. No one will notice. Yeah. Unless you superimpose me onto Chloe, really. I'm not. No idea.
We'll see what goes.
Something for you to think about later in a long time.
This conversation's gone weird. Yeah. But anyway, so try and get back on topic a little bit. I'm not really that bothered about it. It's fine. So we've obviously also mentioned groups in other conversations, and you've mentioned it a little bit in this one. I think I froze. There we go. So we've mentioned it a little bit as well. So how have you found the forums and stuff? I know you've mentioned it a bit. Did you while you're doing your own research of epilepsy, did you kind of avoid the extra communication of other people, or were you wanting to get involved with all of that straight away as well? Or
I think I can't really remember exactly now. I think I wanted all the information. I just wanted to know all the things. And I was quite frustrated about how little was known. I thought I must be missing something.
Yeah.
I don't think I joined many forums and groups early on, probably because I thought I wouldn't have anything to bring to them. And I felt like I didn't need that support at that time. I was finding out information. I had mates and family, and I was getting the epilepsy nurse, and that was really important to me.
Yeah.
and I didn't feel like I had anything to kind of bring to it for anybody else.
Yeah.
So I thought about it, but didn't. I think since then, I can't remember how I've come across some of the forums. It's my guess is just the way that Facebook knows your life and starts to link
Yeah.
and suggest stuff.
Yeah, I think that's how I joined the UK one. Was it just kind of randomly showed up one day, and I was like, oh, I might as well join that, and then
Yeah.
I think me probably the same. Yeah, and there's been one or two others I think that have cropped up, but the UK one is the one that's been the most useful, or the one that we've got most out of things like this series and things.
Yeah, I think it's been a really helpful group, because I'm the same as you with I don't have seizures anymore, but a lot of people who are the same don't have seizures anymore, but they still have the other side effects, have the same issues, the same mental health gripes that you have, I find that quite helpful from that.
Yeah, and you kind of feel you do get people who are popping on, and they were in a similar situation to where we were, and they've just had this issue, or they're asking questions, and I think it's really important not to give the answer and say this is the case or this will happen. I think that's one of the problems I struggle with my neurologist. There was a certain, I think they were probably trying, and I did what I do, which is make it lighthearted. But there was a certain amount of, actually, I'm trying to ask serious questions. Yeah. And I think maybe they're trying to be reassuring by giving simple answers, but actually that's not what I think I needed at the time.
Yeah.
And I think there's a certain, I try and avoid that, but I try and just go with, this is my experience, or this is what happened for me, or that kind of thing. And you avoid getting on the moral high ground about you should drive or you should not drive, or you should not put yourself in this situation, or you must put yourself in there, or because it's different for different people, and you just kind of support and let them find their own way, really, with what knowledge you've got. And maybe your experience is useful for them, maybe it isn't. You just kind of throw it out there and see what they do with it. For me, not being able to drink more than a drink a day ever was quite a big deal. Not being able to drive was the big deal. For other people, that's not, but maybe they're terrified of being on their own. I was scared of having, or more scared of having, a seizure amongst people, not because of embarrassment or anything like that, but because I didn't trust people. I was like, well, someone might nick me wallet. I don't want that. If I have one in a field, the local sheep isn't going to nick my wallet. I thought, I'm okay with that.
Might do something else though.
So it's different things concern different people, and I think all you can do is say, well, I was in this situation, this is what worked for me. Hopefully, if enough of us do that, out of all of that wealth of experience, something's going to be the thing that they need and find useful.
And I think that's one of the reasons why I want to do this, and I've said it a few times, is if one person watches this and it resonates, perfect. That's kind of that's where I'm at with it. So
definitely. I think it's well worth it. I think it's been really good.
No, it's cool, man. We've had quite a lot of good feedback, more feedback than I thought I would, because it's just a little pet project, but it's been good.
It's turned into like quite a big thing now, hasn't it?
Don't say that, make me nervous.
I'm so grateful for you for doing it. And putting that together. It's such a proactive step to go and say, right, well, I'm going to do this about this, and I'm going to tackle it in this way and try and do something that's going to maybe be a resource for people. I think is absolutely fantastic.
I'm glad my camera is not working very well, because I've gone a bit red. So you can't tell.
You can add that in later.
I'll add the blush.
No, I'll catch up on those things.
I appreciate that, really do.
It's fantastic. It's taken something that's obviously a bad thing and making it into something that's a positive, but also it's going to be hopefully a positive for more people. And I find it really interesting, like on the groups, the different things that people, different perspectives, but it's a bit more in depth than that for an individual. Kind of
I was going to say, one of the things, one of the episodes I haven't put out yet, because my computer's been broken, is she mentioned about like doing a kind of a big group kind of Zoom at one point as well, which I think I'm gonna kind of take the proactive steps on that a little bit as well. And even if it's just all the guys and girls who I've had in these, or if it's people from that group, just have a chat and have a therapeutic in it.
Yeah, it is. I think it's great, that kind of thing. And you've all got something in common that you all, to some extent, it's such a wide thing, epilepsy, but to some extent you all understand a little bit about. I think it's the breadth of it is something that's surprised me. How generic epilepsy is, and the way that it literally means it took me months to find out that epilepsy means a tendency to have seizures. And I thought, oh great, is that it? You know, that's all we know about it. This epilepsy condition, you know, you kind of think, right, there's loads of understanding about it and this is how it works. It's like, no, this guy falls over, we don't really know why. Especially when it's idiopathic, you know.
Now let's get a rod and see which one of those ones sticks to him, sort of thing.
That's right. It's fascinating. If I had my time again, maybe I could try and be a neurologist.
You get to tell people to go see the GP instead.
That's right. Say, I don't. Sorry, no idea. Get the nurse. She can help you out.
But I was going to say, and also something, actually, this is one question for you as well, is because we have noticed this come up in a few of them, with people who've got the same as us, me and Chloe have both had this, is did you ever have migraines beforehand as well for any period of time?
No, ironically, my wife gets them quite sometimes.
You took the epilepsy.
I've got the other side, and it's odd because we both watch out for each other with them, because I kind of think, in a way, migraines, the ramifications aren't as serious, but they're more likely to happen, and you can still lose a day or two out of them. Whereas for me, it's extremely unlikely I'll have a seizure. You know, if I just not quite hydrated enough, I'll probably be all right. Whereas it's more likely to have a migraine. But no, they asked lots of questions. Everyone asked the same questions. This is one thing. I used to work with a charity that helped people with life-limiting conditions and their families. Children with life-limiting conditions. It started out as Duchenne muscular dystrophy and then expanded. And one thing they all said was, all the families said, you have to answer the same questions time and time and time and time again. So we built something that, among other things, allowed them to come and log on and put their answers to all these questions. And so they could just give the medical professional the link to the profile and say, go and look on that. And not have to repeat it. But it was something that, again, I had the same thing, all the questions, the usual questions. And it was just a straight no for all of them. You know, did you have this behavior when you were a child? And I don't know, I'm texting my mum. You know, go to the next question. We'll get back to her. And she's like, no, you didn't. Right, great. No, that question you asked. I can't remember if migraines was one of the questions or not.
It possibly will be.
Drugs and alcohol were definitely a couple of the questions. And it was just a no to all of them. Everything, you know, it's just like no, haven't done any of this, haven't experienced that, haven't had a head injury, haven't just nothing. Just completely out of the blue.
It is one of those ones that I am trying to work out to see myself if there's a bit of a link with migraines and stuff for that type of epilepsy. But
they are very closely linked, apparently. Like, that's what my neurologist said anyway, because he specializes in migraines and epilepsy, and he said it comes from like the same part of the brain or something, I think he said. But it's so, like, it's just crazy how things link. But it's like, I think it's almost worse not knowing what is causing it than
you desperately want that information, that link that says, okay, it's something to do with that. How did you find it with having a neurologist who specialized in that kind of area? Did you feel that made any difference for you at all?
Not particularly. Like you were saying earlier, like the neurologist tends to keep things really simple, and it's the epilepsy nurse that goes into more detail and has explained more things to me. Like, I swear, the neurologist literally is like, take this medication and take this and hope for the best.
Yeah, that's right. He was lovely. I liked him very much, but I kind of wanted a bit more content. Might not have understood it anyway, but I just wish there was a bit more. And the reason I asked is mine specialised in degenerative illnesses, like conditions like dementia and things like that. And I always wondered if there'd been someone who specialised in something else, would it have made any difference? But sounds like
I think that's something that I've noticed from doing is that not many neurologists seem to be experts in epilepsy.
Right.
From just doing these ones, I don't know every neurologist in the country, but I'm sure there is some who do specialize in it, but yet to find that being a specialty.
It's the first time I've heard it. Mind you, I haven't spoken to many people about the neurologists.
No.
I suppose with there being an aging population, dementia and Alzheimer's are the big headlines. So maybe that's a lot of resources are kind of pushed into that, possibly. It might be completely coincidental. I don't know.
Yeah. And I may be totally wrong. There may be like tons and tons and thousands of them. I don't know. I'm sure Epilepsy Action will correct me if I'm wrong and stuff like that. But yeah, don't know.
Apparently, Bradford's quite a centre of excellence. Or I think the BRI is one of the places for epilepsy research, if I remember my facts correctly.
I've definitely done a night in that hospital. Yeah, when quite similar to you, but I've got a scar still here from bashing my head off a desk. Yeah, they're like, you're not going home after that seizure. You're staying here all night. I was like, okay. Yeah. Blood out of here. Like, yeah. You're staying here all night.
I don't have any proper decent scars. I kind of feel like I missed out. It's like a rite of passage. I want somewhere to say, look, it's this. This is how bad it is. It's like, there's now, even when I shredded my shins on there.
now left.
No, there's it all healed up far too nicely.
I kept the Instagram picture of the bandage around, looking like a Terry Butcher or something. Got the scar. It's great.
I wish I did a race for Epilepsy Action, and another guy who was doing it afterwards came and we're having a chat, and he said, "Oh, we should compare scars," and I'm like, "Oh, now I feel like I'm not in the club." Find one where I happen to like bash my arm off a door or something recently and pretend,
Let's go for it, mate. Just like
I could. It's that one. It's that if you look really closer, you can see it.
It's not a freckle, I swear. It's a scar. Yeah.
That was never there before.
Yeah. That was. I've had one. Yeah, used to. There is a picture that I will share out on my Facebook at some point. That is a rather unfortunate scar. That it was a carpet burn here. But basically, it looked like two people having sex. Is how the yeah.
Brilliant. This is no Harry Potter. This is what it would be in real life, isn't it? No lightning star.
No. Yeah.
A couple of people getting busy on me temple. That's real life, isn't it? That's the Teesside version of Harry Potter. Brilliant.
Yeah, that's how we do it.
adult Harry Potter on Teesside. That's the proper version in the Northeast. That's fantastic.
Yeah. It stayed for about 6 weeks as well. Like going around, like walking around like this. Yeah.
Got people walking over saying, "Is that a tattoo you've got on there?" No, it's not.
It looked like a birthmark. That was the worst thing. I was thinking if I had that as a birthmark, yeah.
Just a bit unlucky.
Yeah. I'd got skin graft or something. I think to cover it. Yeah,
you just change your hairstyle, don't you?
Yeah, I'll share it with you at some point. I'll share that picture with you. But yeah, right, cool. Yeah,
I don't know where to go from that.
No, I think that's where we end. I think I'm running away now.
That's a finisher, isn't it? I love it.
Yeah,
that's like a professional interview out. That's how the pros do it, definitely.
Right, two people having sex on my head. All right, see you later. yeah, I think that's I think that's a good one anyway. Cool. Yeah, cool.
Thanks, guys. It's lovely to talk to you. Haven't seen you both on camera and heard some of the fantastic stuff that you've done and talked about. Really, really appreciate it. And it's
I've been looking forward to this one as well. So yeah. Cool.
Yeah, I have. Yeah, it's great. Now you know just how much I talk.
New Geordie, it's expected.
Good.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and I haven't even had a drink yet.
Go for it. Have a few.
Allowed. I'm allowed now.
You're allowed.
Brilliant.
You're a rebel.
Yeah, my favourite rebellion is when I happen to be out in a pub or something like that when I'm time to take me drugs. And the first thing is you sometimes get a couple of looks when you get your pills out, your little plastic bag or whatever you've got them in, and then I wash them down with a pint. My neurologist could see me now.
I do always feel a bit like that when I know I'm taking them late or I'm taking them like 2 a.m. with tablets. I'm just like, yeah. I'm being naughty.
We've all been there, I think.
Yeah. Or like 2 weeks ago when I got a little bit drunk and totally forgot to take them.
That would scare me.
It scared the crap out of me for about 3 days.
Yeah, you wait for it. If you think like you've overdone it a little bit, you're then waiting for the whole of the next day. You're like, am I feeling all right? Am I okay? Do I need to lie down?
Do I feel a bit dizzy? I think I feel a bit dizzy. Yeah, it must be.
It's one of the things whenever like we all get those moments where you feel a bit dizzy, like when you've got epilepsy.
It's normal.
Normal. And now every time it happens, I sort of freak out a little bit. Am I okay?
Yeah.
Am I okay? Creep into my bed and lie in bed. I'm in my safe place.
I remember saying that to you before. Like if I read a text message and like the word letters are just slightly wrong, freaks me out.
Yeah. It's like,
one time
you're bad at English or?
It's one of those when you genuinely smell something burning, you're like, oh, is there something burning? You know, and I've learned not to say that. You know, there's something. You smell something burnt. What? You can smell something. Did you say smell something burnt? Are you all right? Should I get a pillow? You okay? Did you take your drugs? Should I go and check it? So, no, it's fine. I genuinely thought, it's all right. So I just don't say one day I'll die in a house fire because I just didn't want to say anything.
Yeah. I'm not having a stroke. It's just I can smell a little bit of smoke. That's all.
Next door are having a bonfire. I'm sure of it.
It's worse for me. I smoke, so like I get that. Yeah, I know what you mean though. That's the thing. I know what you mean as well. Yeah. Right. Cool. I think that is a good place to end. We'll call that one because I think we've been going for just under 2 hours now on this one, so including the split of parts. But yeah,
I do this to a lot of people.
I like it. It's good.
Now you know why people run off to start their meetings without me. It's not just me having seizures. They're just trying to get the meeting out of the way before I start.
Yeah, you were just literally in the shower for 5 minutes. They've just been in out.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Right. Cool. Right. Been a pleasure, guys. So
fantastic.
Have a nice night, guys.
Thanks, guys. Take care.